5, 16, 19, 21, 30, 3 and 10. Check results. Do you remember?
It is 5:03 on a... What day is it today? Monday? Yeah. Yeah, it actually is a Monday. Good, hey, good me for knowing that, you know? When you can't just sort of know what day of the month it is, what day of the week it is, barely what day of the month it is. Like, there was a point where you asked me what day it is, can't tell you. And I might even accidentally tell you we're in like March or something when it's like June. That's when you know you probably need to sort some shit out. Because, yeah, you've lost all sense of time. But no, today's a Monday and it's 5, did I say? Yeah, it's 5:04 now. It was 5:03. And this is number, I don't know. You'll know I won't. I'm not going to try and get... It's like 18, I think. You would be surprised. Like, we're only counting up in single digits here per day. Very hard to remember what we're on. Like, it's harder than you'd think. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just bad at counting, you know? But, yeah, good. I mean, I hope you don't mind. But this is probably going to be a football-heavy one today. Because I feel like I just need to vent. I need to vent about some football. And it's not the football itself. It's not the watching the games, because obviously I'm a Chelsea fan, so that's hard right now. And it's not exactly watching the games and losing consistently. Never scoring, let alone winning. Just always creating no chance. It's not even that. I can go through bad periods as a football fan. Periods of football. And be fine with it. You know, everyone has their day. Every dog has their day, right? And, you know, the sun will shine on us again, brother. But it's just everything that comes around losing. And I know this goes without saying, but the negativity, and of course it's not going to be negativity. People aren't going to be singing from the rooftops, are they? They're not exactly going to be salsa dancing through the streets because we lost 4-0 to Man City. I get it. And I'm negative as well. Like, if you ask me to give a review of our performances recently, they're not exactly going to be positive. But there's just something about a platform... Oh, Jesus. Almost choked on that. There's something about Twitter that is just something annoying about it inherently. Like, I don't know, I feel like YouTube, it's similar to Twitter. It's just a bunch of people giving their opinions as if anyone gives a shit. You know, but giving their opinions like everyone wants your opinion. You know, it's just a bunch of... You could argue you need to be slightly narcissistic to even do it, right? But everyone just giving their 2 cents on it. But, I don't know, it feels like I don't have to see them. Like, I can see, oh, this person's talking about Chelsea, this one's talking about Chelsea, this one's talking about Chelsea, and I can choose to click them or go through them or whatever. Something about Twitter where your opinion and your views, which you spread like fact, just is plastered up there for you to see, and it's just like... You're just bombarded with all these different opinions, all these different viewpoints, and everyone's speaking as if they are right. You'll read one, you'll read another one. 2 completely different points from completely different ends of the spectrum, but they're both saying it like they've just discovered a fact that they're now revealing to the world. Like, they say, like, people online say this about Conor Gallagher, but what they don't realise is actually this. And if they realise that, they've realised he's actually the most important player in our squad, actually. And other people are saying, Conor Gallagher's actually really shit and we need to get rid of him immediately. And obviously, this is an obvious thing. And they'll pull up that everyone thinks there's some stat man, you know? Everyone thinks there's some master analyzer. Like, they're actually qualified in coaching. Some of them maybe, I don't know, I haven't asked them. Qualified in coaching, where like they'll bring up like screenshots from a game and they'll like draw arrows on it, like being like, this should have happened here, this should have happened there and stuff. And I just like, leave it out, man. I don't give a shit. And also, it's just the agendas is what's really annoying. Like, there is in the media a bias towards English players, in the sense that sometimes pundits will favour them. Now, the English media, they will attack English players, but English pundits will often go at foreign players and protect the English players. You know, just goes without saying that happens. But on social media, it's the complete different. They pull the complete other way. And because they feel like there's this huge bias for English players, they feel like English players are only in there because of like favoritism and being English and all this kind of bullshit. It's like they pull the complete other way and give so much credit to foreign players over English players who have actually got credit in the bank and done good stuff for us. And it's not even just the English players, but I feel like I see it a lot with them. And the main people, well, the main person, and I just can't stand it. I can't stand it so much. It's Mason Mount. It's Mason Mount. Like, it bothers me, and I'm triggered. Okay, I'm triggered that I said it. Like, I just imagine you got a whole team of players who won the Champions League like a couple of years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever. A lot of players are much higher level than they are now. They were playing that within them, and now they're being shit. But we can have a bad game. We can lose 4-0, and Mason Mount can play shit. But guess what? The whole team played shit. Everyone was shit against City, apart from, I'd probably say, Lewis Hall was alright, made a couple of wrong decisions. I'd actually probably just say Bashir Humphreys, Chalobah. These were good. Everyone else was pretty shit. I mean, I guess Kepa was alright, but he was in goal and you let him free. But you know what I'm trying to say. It's like everyone, like the whole midfield. Kovacic, Jorginho, Mount didn't offer enough. Havertz, probably one of the poorest. Ziyech, dispossessed too much. And ultimately, we're watching like a B team squad. We've got like a whole first 11, not like our first 11, but like we can create a first 11 of like injured players. That also needs to be taken into account a little bit. Yes, we should still be able to hold our own against teams like Nottingham Forest and stuff like that. But that needs to be taken into account. And regardless of how badly everyone plays, yeah, sure, Havertz will get some stick. Of course he will. And yeah, sure, you'll see a little bit for you'll see a bit for Jorginho and stuff. But Kovacic will always evade it. And for the most part, Jorginho and Havertz will evade it as well because all of it is going into Mount. It's always Mount's fault. Mount's the problem. Get rid of Mount and everything's fixed. And it's like, do you watch the game? Mount was a ghost in that game. He barely touched the ball. Right. But guess what? Even the people who were not effective, but who were in that game, Havertz, the amount of times he's just not passing forward. And the thing is, right, people are like, oh, Mount, this is the thing. Mount isn't good enough because in this situation he didn't pass, or in this situation he passed but it didn't get through, or in this situation Havertz didn't do this and he should have done that, right? They need to get rid. We'll never be like a certain level of club if we don't get rid of these players. When like these are things that can be coached, and like depending on system you'll see players do and then you won't see players do. Like don't act like you've never seen Mount play great balls forward in games. You can. That's the thing. People who like Mount will make compilations of him playing great passes forward, and people who don't like Mount will make compilations of him fucking up and being shit. Because there's examples of both, and it will depend on the system and the formation and what the manager asks players to do in each scenario. If Havertz isn't passing a ball when a ball is on, that to me doesn't tell me Havertz isn't good enough at this level. Get him gone. That can be coached. That can be trained out of him. I mean, if you see him do it for like Germany, for example, then you know it's something that he can do. If I see a player get chance after chance to score and they keep fluffing their lines, they keep missing it. Every single time they get past the ball, they take an awful touch. They're always, just bad ball control, like rash and always getting red cards. These are things where it's like, okay, they're just technically not good at football. They're not high enough quality. Get rid of them. You know what I mean? There's a difference between the things people hate players for and the things that make players actually just bad players. Like Havertz not passing and this type of stuff, it's fine. I think he's good aerially, and I think he can improve his finishing, obviously. We've seen that this season a lot. But I think ultimately he's never going to be our main number 9. He wasn't brought into our main number 9, and he just isn't that player. If we're being honest, Havertz is probably a luxury player, and luxury players are going to come under a lot of scrutiny when you haven't even got the foundation players to allow the luxury players to be luxury. But he can, and that's why he would perform somewhere else. Like he'd go somewhere where they've got a better sort of starting 11 foundation built up around him, and he would flourish. But right now, when we're in the depths of it, fucking throwing swings, fighting for our lives, not like relegation, but for like a top 6 club. It ain't looking too good. And like right now I'm defending players who have been bad. Like they've been bad for us. But it's just I hate the same people getting attacked every time. The Mason Mount, the Conor Gallagher. It's like I'll watch a game and the second I see one of them make a pass, they then get to a player, I know it's getting clicked up and put on Twitter. But I'll watch Kovacic miss multiple passes. I'll watch everyone. It's just not equal. There's clear agendas. It's like people almost want him not to be good enough. Like the player who got player of the season twice for us. The second season was even better than his first season with his output. He got double digits in goals and assists in the Premier League, not in all competitions, in the Premier League. That is insanely good numbers. He's like 24 max right now, probably. Maybe he's 23, but he's like young still. And it's just one of those things. We get rid of him. He goes to another club. He'll do well. Everyone says we should bring him back. Like we've done it 100 times before. These English players who are never good enough, we just put them in because they're English and they're from Cobham and we just give them extra credit, are the same English players people would love to have back right now. You see it on Twitter with Tammy Abraham and Tamori. Like you're clamouring for them to come back. But right now the ones we have, we're like, get rid of. We just want to play them because they're English. And how many times... I don't want to split this into English versus foreign thing. But we kind of do have this problem at the club when it in different ways as well. Like with the manager, Frank Lampard kind of favoured a lot of these young English players and you'd play them and they were the ones he trusted in. And people like Jorginho and Alonso and Rudiger basically managed to get him out and they kind of down tools and they didn't get on clearly. And there was like arguments and like screaming matches going on and Alonso getting on the bus and after the West Brom game and all this other stuff going on. Like you can see you can tell which players were the ones who wrote thank you Gaffer after he got sacked and which players didn't. Like Jorginho didn't, Rudiger didn't obviously, Alonso didn't obviously, but they did for like Tuchel and stuff like that. Whereas like obviously the young players, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, Reece James leaves a long message because those were the ones he trusted in more. So there was a split there. There's a split amongst the fan base when it comes to like liking one more than the other, like siding more with the foreign players than with the English players, even subconsciously, or with Cobham players more than foreign players, even subconsciously. And it's like, I just will defend players who have got credit in the bank, who have done something for me, have proved something to me, have given me some kind of joy. You know what I mean? And I'm not chatting shit. A lot of those players happen to be English and from Cobham. Because a lot of the times when we were shit under Lampard and we were down in tools, the players were down in tools, it was the Mason Mounts who were against Fulham in the rain, drag us out of it. And I remember that game and I remember that goal. And it wasn't a special goal. It was nothing crazy. It just made us win 1-0. But I always remember those moments. Getting angry, giving it some to the players. Actually look like they're trying. Now, to be fair, right now we're struggling. And I didn't see any of that from any player. But they have that credit in the bank. Like his goals goals, plural, against Real Madrid in the Champions League across multiple seasons. Havertz, to even an extent, he's got big goals against Liverpool. Against obviously City in the final, winners against West Ham. He has credit in the bank to an extent for me as well, and the fact also a massive price tag. You've seen him, you see what he can do. Players like Ziyech don't have as much credit in the bank to me. I'll be a little bit less lenient with them, but we'll just switch on someone so quick, and just as quick as people will have we love Zakaria now. Zakaria's the best thing since sliced bread. Sign him up. He's the only one fit enough to wear the shirt in that midfield. Is just as quick as once we actually do sign him, give it 2 games, people will completely switch on him, start calling him God, never good enough, should never have got him. It's just how it goes. As the grass is always greener. We'll bring in Nkunku. He might not quite hit the heights that he was doing in the Bundesliga. We'll turn on him quick time. And it is just a very Twitter thing. Like, Timo Werner, his love for this club is something I don't even know if I'll ever understand it. It's like, he loves the club so much. He's like at the stadium. He came to the stadium just to watch a random game. Always watching like the games online. Like posting like a blue love heart being like, come on Chelsea. It's like, you're not on loan, mate. You don't play for us anymore. Because like in the stadium and stuff, people love Timo Werner. Like when you're in the stadium and you're there, because I was working there at the time, you get a completely different vibe for what the fan base is feeling, and like they'll sing his name in any circumstance because of his work ethic, and I don't know, people just love Timo Werner. There's something about him. People would always sing for him, and like he shows that back now that he's not at the club anymore. But I don't know. I feel like people would even at this point want Timo Werner would wish we didn't sell him and want him back right now. Because again, as soon as we don't have someone, it's like, oh, I'd quite like them. We apparently just have agreed, by the way, a loan for João Felix, which is mental. I don't really care. Like, he's a good player and stuff, but it's just like, I don't know what the plan is really. It's just like any half decent player who's out there, who's at below the age of 25, we'll just try and plug them into our mess. And it's just a loan. I don't really care. And ultimately, it's a write-off season, so I don't mind this whole like career mode stuff for now. Just bringing in different players, seeing what works. It's just like, it ain't skin off my back. It ain't money out of my pocket. I'm not really fussed. If he turns out to be a sick player and we sign him on a perm, then great. And ultimately, he was probably going to go sign for someone like United anyway. So if we're taking him away from United getting him, then that's cool. I don't know. I also just want to reiterate, Mount has been shit, and he's not been anywhere near his best. But that's the key point here. He's not been near his best, and that's why it's frustrating, you know? Someone like Alonso, who had we have fond memories because he's got goals against Tottenham and stuff like that, but it's very different. Hating on Mount because he's been in the team for like 3 years and he's just been non-stop shit. It's what people act like is the case, when in reality, he's not been playing anywhere near his best. So surely what we want to do is try and get through this period, rotate people out and bring people in who are in better form, and hopefully Mount will, he'll stay in the club and he'll get back to his best, which was really good, instead of just being like, oh, he's not good enough, get rid. What kind of coaching is that? What kind of like mentality is that? The second anyone drops in form slightly, you get rid immediately. Like, that's not how it works. You're allowed to like be shit and then come back from that, Like Marcus Rashford now, the amount of people who would have wanted him gone, now he's like their best player. Like, you got to repay the faith in players who have done a lot for you. Like Marcus Rashford being a little star boy, going around big goals against PSG and City and all this other stuff, right? And then the second he's in bad form, turn your back on him and be like, no, we'll get someone else in. No, like, give him a chance. And yeah, he took a bit longer than you'd like, but still now he's coming good for you. And under the right manager, and I'm not saying Potter's not the right guy, but under the right manager and the right, formation and system, people can flourish. We as a team kind of flourished because of a system. We didn't have maybe the best team in there. A lot of players who are in that team we have now, and people are saying they're not good enough, but they won the Champions League. You know what I mean? So the right system can work. We won the Premier League with Victor Moses and Alonso at the back. So system can change a lot of people. A lot of people going at Conor Gallagher. He was playing at like a wing back at some point in that game. They were playing us like out as like a right winger at some point. Then he comes down into the middle. It's like, it's a fucking mess. Like Raheem Sterling, Pulisic, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Robin Loftus-Cheek, like Kante, none of these players are here. We're fucked, we're screwed. Thiago Silva's not playing that game. It's a bit of a shit show. But just everyone's cutthroat. Get rid of this guy, pay and don't speak, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, I just hate reading it, to be honest. Because none of us are right. I'm not even right, obviously. I don't even believe I'm right. Because we don't fucking know, do we? One day he's good. Mason Mount can score a hat-trick next game, whatever. Does that prove me right? I don't know, because then he could be shit for another 15 games. We're just speculating and saying what we think to be the case. But Twitter's a place where it just feels like people have no consciousness of that fact. And they just think, well, they're saying, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. What do I even want for next game? I think we're playing Fulham next. I don't know if we're home or away. I don't know, man. I kind of just want... I don't know, like, there's so many people out. Hopefully some people are back by then. Maybe Ben Chilwell will be back. Maybe Loftus-Cheek, just to see if they like change anything for us and allow us to play a different way. Because it's system. People will laugh at that. Loftus-Cheek, he allows us to play a different system. Like if he wanted to play a back five, and I know I wanted to move away from that, but if he wanted us to play a back five and he could play as a wing back in that, if we want to play a 4-3-3 and have him as an attacking midfielder in that, or have him holding deep and allow us and the rest of the players to go and push and play better, that he can do that for us. Ben Chilwell is just like a good player, and a lot of people saying Cucurella's not been great recently. I wouldn't mind. I'd like to see these players back, just to see us a little bit different. Potter is going through it right now. He's going through it. And if you look through his career at most of the clubs he's went to, he has gone through it at points. I remember Brighton fans at one point were booing the man. They had an awful run and, they booed him. Did I think they should have booed him? No, but I'm not a Brighton fan, so I'm not going to say they should or should not boo or whatever. But I don't think from my perspective, I didn't see why they were really booing him, but it was a bad run of form, I'll say that. And he got booed at Brighton. And when we signed him, he had Brighton third. So, you know, things change. Things change. And it's been 4 months. He's got a whole squad of injured players. And obviously people really didn't want us to sack Tuchel. So a lot of it is just sort of pent up aggression sort of because of that. Tuchel also would have had us in similar form, I do believe, if he stayed. And he was like kind of in that form when he left. Do I think Tuchel's a bad manager? No. Do I think Tuchel should be sacked? No, I don't really know. I'm not the sporting director. I don't know what went on there between the club. Apparently it wasn't good and it wouldn't have ever been recovered. So if that's the case, then yes, he should have been sacked. For footballing reasons alone, like I said, I like credit in the bank and he won the Champions League. Would I give him a bit more time? Probably. Was I enjoying the football at the time? Did I think something was wrong? Did I think the players were downing tools though? Yes. So it's just one of those things. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's how football works. It's literally how football works at Chelsea as well. So I don't know why people are surprised. The whole circus continues thing. We're just going to post that for every little thing we do every other week. It's just, okay, what point are you trying to prove? But yeah. Yeah, man. That's all. A bit of a football heavy today. But I said a lot. That's always just been on my mind, really. It's just football related stuff. So I've kind of just sunk that into here. So sorry about that. This was 18, I believe. On to 19.
Here with the kids. And I had like 3 kids. And the geezer was probably on like maximum 20 bags a year. Like the most boring bloke you'll ever meet. Like,